Hello, I'm Jan Alsop. I'm an Australian artist and I make these weekly videos creating happiness in the studio. So welcome to my studio. Now, my progress this week, I've gone a bit crazy. I started on this one. I wanted to put a bit of depth into it. So I glazed it with a colour that could really only be called baby poo brown. But it's a great glaze colour. It actually brings out the colours, and the reason I've done it is that it will push that part of the painting into the distance, and then when I go over it again over the top, that will jump forward, so it'll be quite a lot more interesting as a result. But because I had so much fun doing that and getting glaze everywhere and mixing up funny pooey colours, I've done it over every single painting, which is something I used to do years ago in my representational work, but I haven't done it as much lately, and I've certainly not done it on every single painting. So some of these I've started to come back in with some other colours on top, as you can see here with the lighter colour, and you can see how it contrasts against the glazed areas, which get really pushed backwards and dark and sort of shadowy. Well, not dark, but darker and shadowy. So that's been fun, and now I've just got to figure out what to do with them to get them back to my original thoughts. The things we do as artists. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you is my three-dimensional paintings. I can't remember if I showed them to you before. I know I've missed a couple of weeks. I probably haven't. But I have been sharing them on my Facebook page and my Instagram page, so you may have seen them there. So what I've been doing is I've been cutting out shapes in wood and making them into compositions, which I've been calling my 3D paintings. Now, the thing I didn't consider when I started sharing them is that you out there can't see what I'm thinking in here. And so lots of people had ideas about where I might be going with these, and I don't know that many of you actually got it right. And that's no fault of your own. This is me expecting you all to be mind readers. So I've got one here to show you, which is not finished, but it's the closest one to finished. So here is one of those compositions that I shared, but it's now painted. As you can see, it's still not joined together. That actually slides under there slightly differently to how I had that. Something like that, I think. And that, the white board that you can see in the background, I've just sat there so that you can see my 3D painting against it, but it won't be on a board. It'll be joined together and it'll hang independently on the wall. No backing board. It'll just be like a 3D object. But yeah, as I say, I'm calling them 3D paintings. So I've been having lots of fun with that. I've actually managed to cut out my very first scribble. I've cut out some before, but they didn't quite work. I had this idea that a scribble would look great on a 3D painting, not that one, but you can see what I mean. It adds a really nice contrast to it. So I've actually managed to cut out my first scribble. So the other thing I wanted to tell you about today is there's a group of Australian artists that we've connected online. We've now met a couple of them, but we just didn't know each other to start with, and you know, you get in these groups online and suddenly you're friends, which is fantastic. So there's 9 of us, and we started a 12 by 12 inch painting and then sent it on to the next person. So it's like a round robin, and each artist will do one layer of the painting and then pass it on to the next person, and ultimately we'll all have a painting back to us that each one of the 9 has painted on. And what's been really interesting is how much this has been an opportunity for learning. And I've actually put it out to the group today for us to continue to do it again early next year, because it's so interesting working on somebody else's painting. Plus, there's that whole, oh my gosh, you know, this is so precious. She's done this and she must think, you know, that's how she wants it to be. Now I've got to paint over it. What am I going to do? So it's been really good to be able to learn how to move into and onto a painting that is looking pretty damn good. I actually got one recently that I thought was finished, and it still had 2 more people to paint on it, and I didn't want to. I wanted to say, hey, it's finished, but I'm glad I didn't. That was a big learning curve for me too, to paint on something I thought was finished, and I think it will end up being better for it. So that was interesting. So the reason I'm mentioning this is if you're an artist of some description and you're watching this, and you can get together with a group of actual friends or online friends, I recommend trying it out, because it's such an interesting opportunity to learn about your own painting. You do learn about other people's paintings too, but mostly you learn about your own painting. And so that's actually ended up pushing me in some slightly different directions to where I had been going with some of my paintings. And I look forward to showing you how those will turn out in the next few weeks. So once again, I'm trying to make these videos weekly. I don't know why I don't. I'll try much harder. But anyway, here we are this week, and I have been creating happiness in my studio, and it's been great. So I hope you are too, wherever you are. I hope you're creating happiness wherever you are for yourself, and in doing that, I know that you'll be helping those around you too. Anyway, have a good week. Until next week, bye from Australia.